You're all set to call order.
Call order, sir. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, which is republic, and one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice. I'm gonna try to fill in for Leo tonight, best you can. We're gonna do this in a joint effort. We got a 5 o'clock public hearing to accept the unanticipated funds. Chuck's gonna handle that part of the tonight's program. When we get to it. Signature folder, we had one intent to cut. And the Society for Protection New Hampshire Forest, that's off in High Watch Road area. Again, it's my understanding they're trying to mitigate the species that like
insect damage.
the insect damage on trees, so ash and things like that. Yep. Make a motion to approve the manifest dated June 20th, 2024 in the amount of $43,907.10.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Make a motion to accept the manifest dated June 27th, 2024 in the amount of $22,607.10.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. And I make a motion to approve the selectmen meeting minutes dated June 11th, 2024.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Is there any discussion?
Unless you have some.
Just a note, in case she's listening right now. Very, very detailed minutes. Heidi, and thank you very much. But we can abbreviate them a bit if we want. Just the gist of the minutes is more than adequate, the gist of the conversation and motions and stuff, so. But outside of that, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Job well done, thank you.
Very well done.
And all those in favor of approval of the minutes? Aye.
Aye.
Review of the mail folder, we had a agreement with Quarter Office Machines. It's just a continuation of the new contract that we got.
Maintenance agreement.
Yeah, the maintenance agreement, so. Okay, we're gonna move forward with that, and we got a letter regarding the new municipal funds coordinator for Tri-County CAP. Janai Smallwood is the new representative. If we have any need to set up a meeting with him, I don't think we really do it this time. I mean, I don't know what kind of,
No, I don't think so. Yeah.
but I guess welcome to Janai, and I hope I'm pronouncing that name right. Smallwood. And yeah, I don't even know what that's in order. Okay. Town administrator reports.
Pretty much what I have is the website's now live. Had a little bit of issues when we first got it running. The certificate was not fully transferring over after working some hours with the town cloud. We got it fixed, so now pretty much all I'm trying to have everyone do is look at their, departments, their boards, committees. Look and make sure nothing's missed, make sure you want nothing else added. If you want applications or anything that people can pull online, I actually just send them to me. I can get them on there, so easy access.
Yeah, just think of it as a live beta. At this point, we've done the background work and getting the new site up. Now it's up. Now we got to work some of the kinks out of it. So being in a beta format or trial format for a month or two is not bad while we finish working the rest of the kinks out.
Yeah, and I just have a few more things myself that I'm getting on there, and then I'll be good to update that. I met with one of the gentlemen for the timber cuts from DRA. He had trained me last Monday, so for the interim, I will be the one getting the forms all set to have you sign, as well as creating any billing for it.
Yeah, that one, the simple one's an important one because there are DRA minimum
law.
dates and times for requirements that need to be met, so.
Yes.
Sure.
Last week I was out and took a little vacation time, did finish doing the 2024 arts and cultural license plate grant. Most people know it as Moose Plate Grant, going after $20,000 for the 88 bathroom renovation at the historic town hall library. So that was the extent of my activity for the week.
Good for you. I do not take a vacation. I don't take vacations. Well, I do, but I don't know about it. So after our discussion, I met with the Tobins on Pine River Road in reference to the water line we discussed. Because they're on Ospey's town water. Told them what our requirements will be. What we'd like to see done and so forth. They haven't hired a contractor, secured a contractor yet. They're getting a couple of bids to do the work. Once they have one secured, the Tobins are gonna reach out to us to let us know who that is, and then we will meet with the contractor to see what their intents are, to see if they can do a horizontal boring underneath the road and not have to dig it up or whatever we might have to do, but just to make sure that we're all on the same page. I did tell them that one way or another, whether it's by the bond or by RFP and just targeting Pine River Road, that road was gonna be torn up in 2025, so just to give them a heads up on that. So they're gonna let us know. I met with Jeff Perry from GMI on Friday, and we walked Elm Street. There is indeed some cold joint separation from the bridge in several locations. There's nothing from Pine River Road back. Jeff told me that that does happen, and he actually went so far as to say if you would like to get reaffirmation, your paving friend, if you want to ask him if he's, he said if Chuck's friend and neighbor is in the paving business, he'll know when I say cold joint separation, what that means. So they paved one lane and then they set up one back to Pine River Road. So that created a cold joint separation, and he said often it is in the corners. So they are contacting their company that they use. They're going to come in and treat it and seal it up for us, obviously at no cost to the town. We are going to try to, and this was Jeff's idea, knowing that we were doing crack sealing, and I reached out to him while I was on the phone to set up this meeting to ask him who they use, if they do crack sealing or who they use, and they use 9 column, which is also the same one that New Hampshire DOT uses, and they charge $5,000 a day. It is a flat rate. They used to do it by the square foot. They used to do it by the linear foot. They used to do it this way, that way. And then again, working with the state of New Hampshire, they were finding that the state of New Hampshire is saying, yep, we've got 15,000 feet. This just for conversation purposes. Well, it'd be 10 feet here, drive down the road a half mile.
Be another 10
It'd
feet.
be another 10 feet, and they were jumping around, so they were losing their shirt by the end of the day. So Nikon just said, our flat rate is $5,000 a day. So I am going to identify where those cracks are, or we can, if anybody else wants to join. It's gonna involve walking again. If anybody sees dots or grade stakes on the side of Green Mountain Road, that's how I'm gonna identify where those, because there's cracks that go perpendicular to the road that Mike Polsky pointed out while he was picking the brush. So I'm gonna identify all those cracks, and we're gonna coordinate, so when Nikon comes to do Elm Street, if we're in agreement to contract with that same company, then, we can, that's an option, we can pony up, and so they can come from Elm Street, and then.
How many days do we end up usually spending with what we've done in the past? 2
No, they spend weeks here.
weeks? Okay,
Yeah, but we always bought it by the pallet.
right.
But the problem with buying by the pallet and the way they done it, the proper way to do it, and I'm not gonna say that they did or didn't do it.
Yep.
They did a fine job. I'm not talking bad against them, but it needs to be, the crack needs to be blown out and it needs to be routed. So when you see like those guys actually doing it, it's a router head that looks like it's on us, you know, the pavement cutters. And it routers out the crack and then they blow it out. That way you get, you know, the crack sealant actually goes down into the, it feeds into the crack itself. It doesn't just put a
Across the top.
Yeah.
Which means it doesn't get lifted by snow blades.
Right, it doesn't get peeled off and get re-exposed. And the problem with that, when it just comes over the top, if you got a crack that's 3 feet long, any amount of that, then you don't get covered up. So let's just say you start too late or you end too early in the crack. The water's gonna get in there, it's just gonna get trapped underneath it. So it did nothing. But with this, where it feeds, it goes down inside of the crack, it actually fills the crack the whole length of the crack, so. If we decide to go that way, it still falls within the intended intent of our procurement policy. And I think if, as long as we have them identified and they're mapped out, it'll make it a lot faster and we can just zip and go down through there. But I think we should start on that section of Green Mountain Road, and I think we all are in agreement and work our way back towards Townhouse Road. But it's quite obvious the Townhouse Road, and I think anybody that drives on a regular, it is starting to break up pretty bad in several places. It's beyond crack ceiling in a lot of places, so. But we can save what we can, you know, and keep what we can,
Okay,
if we want to do that.
will we need to let them know before Leo gets back, or?
No,
Okay,
no, so if we want to have a further discussion.
no, I'm good, but I think he ought to be weighing in on that
Yeah,
when he's back.
yeah. Did call the contractor to get down there and they pushed up the brush pile and the compost pile. They didn't get the container moved, so the container still has to be moved to the transfer station. Calcium chloride. Mother Nature is a wonderful beast. Calcium chloride, my concern last year, and everybody, you know, they complain about dust as well. You know, we're getting 7 inches of rain in these rainstorms, that calcium chloride just gets washed away. So we put out approximately $10,000 to $12,000 worth of calcium chloride last week, and it's still going to be there, but it is diluted, and that kind of stinks. But nobody has a crystal ball. We don't know what Mother Nature is going to do. And speaking of Mother Nature not knowing what she's going to do, there was a forecast. Some of the models that were coming out of the country, out of Oklahoma, stayed. You know, we had tornado warnings. Because of that, pre-planning of the fire department and police department and so forth, public safety. And I'm sure JT's going to speak to this, but I think that for doing it is they had people in house because of it's better to be safe than sorry. So as far as I'm concerned, money well spent there. And had a more personal thing. I had to have the ambulance come to my house, and it made for a expedient response time. And I couldn't thank them enough for the professionalism and job well done. And my grandson even complimented the young man that was driving the ambulance and told him he did a fine job. So thank you to them and that planning that worked out obviously in my favor. So there was one other thing. Stand by, sorry. Oh, graduation, sorry. That was the other thing. So graduation, I would say went off without a hitch, but it didn't. It went very smooth, and the kids and the staff and the principal were very appreciative of the gift of the town of Effingham, and our involvement in being there. And it just so happens the power went out while we were there. And it just so happens that one of the other speakers was our representative to the school board, who was also the chair of the building committee and building and maintenance committee, Mr. Pittman. So he got to see firsthand what happens
When the
when the
generator
power goes out and the generator doesn't work like it's supposed to. So, so yeah, and we were using flashlights and the kids championed on. They did a fantastic job, the staff and the kids and the graduates, and doing their speeches at the podium as loud as their voices would allow, and they did a great job. And 15 kids moved on to the middle school, and it was hysterical. I wrote a speech, and people said, "You're nuts. That didn't really happen." So the theme, as it turns out, was Hollywood and the red carpet. My whole speech was, I said, I'm not gonna do a speech on books and chapters and stuff. I'm gonna do one on, kids, this is your show. And I'll see you on the red carpet was my last line. And they literally had a red carpet down the middle of the aisle. Like, how? So, world work and fun with it. Well, yeah, so there were further discussions, and Mr. Pittman said, well, maybe we will be having another meeting before September to discuss the needs of the generator. And so, and they were shocked. They were like, well, how the PowerPoint presentation is working. I'm like, it's in the red outlet. Red outlets are the good ones. Those are the only ones that work, and the power goes out. So further discussion that I'm sure will probably probably got an extra fire underneath it, being that the spirit we got to see it first.
Have we heard anything else from Freedom?
They're ready to partner and we're working on the agreement.
Okay.
And that's all I have. Business. Chief, fire chief.
Couple quick things. As you stated earlier, we did prepare for the storm and we did up staff and had one medical call unrelated to the storm. So unfortunately, we had a bunch of guys sitting there, but we did get some projects done around the station and things like that. So it wasn't a total waste, but I'm glad that it went by us this time instead of another direct hit. So with that being said, I finished out some of the FEMA submissions. So from December 17th to 21st of 2023, that storm's been closed out. And the June storm of 2023 has been closed out as well, including the Molly Philbrick project has been approved, and we should be receiving about $18,000 from the state to complete Molly Philbrick. So I did give Michelle a heads up that check is gonna show up. I guess it gets direct deposited, so they don't see a physical check. We've got to be careful with that money. It is for that project. We can't use it for anything else, so we've got to make sure that we keep track of getting the project done and what.
Which means that $18,000 cannot be rolled into any warrant article that we write to remove money from unreserved fund balance to make that other new article or that old article.
Correct.
Okay, so
Excuse me. So that should be coming in shortly. I signed all the paperwork on Sunday, so I would assume that at some point this week we'll see that. The building project, we wanted to speak on that real quick. We have a couple volunteers in town that Chris was able to find that are going to help do some plans. Can you contact them and find out when we could do our first meeting?
absolutely. If you guys have an idea, so if you want to check, obviously Chuck isn't aware of any of this yet, so
Chuck did some other things. He was probably the first one to know, actually, because he happened to stop by when we were outside scouting it, but
we were brainstorming.
we brought it to the board. We asked for permission to set up a committee with some residents in town and some of us on it to start that planning process. So
you know about piggybacking another $1 million onto the bond idea.
I only had really upfront, here's
I
what
don't
you
think
guys need to do.
I don't think we talked about that.
Get involved, no, I've only got involved with need to get to the board, get a committee going. That was my extent of activity.
So I'm all about open government. I don't think it needs to be hidden. So we were in discussion about so I wanted to bond, possibly bond if we get the approval of the townspeople and budget the road project. And that would require a bonding of $2.4 million. So we have this discussion going on in the building, and you obviously are aware, so it's like, well, what if we tacked another $1 million on? We got $3.4 million, what would that look like, and will give us $1 million for our public safety addition. There is a risk that if one of the things fails, and I'm still in talks with them, but if one of the things doesn't get the support of the town, does that mean the whole thing fails? Or can we somehow pie this out so that, you know, they say, well, you're only in the land for 2.4, you're on the land for $1 million, or vice versa, you know what I'm trying to say?
Yeah, we can word the warrant article.
The warrant articles, but as far as the funding is a different story.
Okay.
I mean, if we borrow all of that and they approve it, the bond bank sells us, you know, the money, whatever,
Mhm.
gives us money, then we could maybe without penalty say, okay, well, they didn't support this $1 million, we don't need this, so take this back. Know what I'm saying?
Yep.
That's the risk is, you know, so there's some clarification that's gotta be had of, you know, what happens if the town doesn't support one of the two. But it's an opportunity, so, if you wanna, I can get you a copy of this before you leave, but if you wanna take a gander at the rates right there, right now, and this is what that would mean. Literally. So.
Yeah, let me take a copy of this, I'll take a review it. So you guys are just beginning plans, right?
Yeah, we're just starting plans.
So a million is a cut off the cuff number.
It's from nowhere.
Yeah. I'm
It
not
may be
sure
nowhere near
it's
enough.
gonna be enough, but maybe more than enough, but I personally don't think it's gonna be enough. Like 1.5.
So it's kind of like Ron White, if anybody's ever seen the comedian Ron White, he said, I'm not really sure how many bounces it was gonna take to get me out of that bar, but I didn't know how many they were gonna use. And so if we say we have $1 million, that's what we have. So,
You know, if it's 2 double wide trailers with a wash unit on the outside, we get it done for $500,000.
win-win.
We're ahead of where we are right now,
We got 37 years so far, these ones out back.
you know, because part of it is, I know, we've had discussions, Dan, you and I had around dry hydrants. It's like, I wanna see a 30,000 gallon tank put in the ground there.
And that's been some of our discussion.
So-
If we're gonna do this
If we need to have a capability that.
with the potential of,
Second well, filling it, the whole bit.
well, with the potential of living quarters there. For down the road use, storm coverage, whatever, we're gonna have to have some sort of sprinkler system in there, which means there's gonna have to be a cistern and a fire pump. So whether it's a 10,000 gallon or 30,000 gallon, I don't know, but there's gonna have to be some form of a water supply there. Whether that's filled from the river, which I think if we start talking with the state now, knowing that there's a good chance that Province Lake Road is probably going to be resurfaced again in another 6 years. And as long as we start the planning process sooner rather than later to where we can trench across before that project all happens.
Yeah, but I remember the grief we were getting from DES trying to move a boulder, let alone trying to be able to put in.
But that
something.
boulder that should have been moved has now landed on the inlet pipe.
Yeah.
Because the inlet pipe is nowhere to be seen now.
Yeah.
But if we start that process with DOT now. Figure out what the schedule is for Province Lake Road and just get on that schedule and. You know, if we happen to do an addition, whatever, build public safety down there, then. As part of that planning process, we can allow space for dry hydrant and potential filling of a cistern from there. I don't know, just spitballing, and this is where all this is gonna need to be. Handled in
This is what these future meetings are gonna have.
Exactly. Exactly.
And I've talked to some members of the public who have showed interest in it, and all we have to do is let them know when we wanna meet and they'll be there. Being a part of it, so.
How big a group? Roughly, just
Say half a dozen, 7 people.
I would say
The other-
at least.
at least 6 or 8.
The other
At least 8.
thing too to take into consideration, I don't know. how it would work as far as a bond is concerned, but USDA will fund stuff like this.
It's an option we can explore.
Community development. Usually it's gonna,
They-
we're gonna have a match, a pretty.
They will do the building part of it.
Yep.
They're not gonna do the roads part of it. So
No, but
part of the strategy discussion gotta be looking at what Chris has pulled together here is option, call it
Yeah.
option A. A second one would be,
But what I'm saying though is if we. Theoretically, we
Yeah.
do a bond for 2.5 for the roads. Do a separate warrant article for another million, whatever. For public safety building. And all that's approved, I'm. Talking out loud, spitballing. We'll go to USDA, say, hey, can we get a grant to build this building? And they come up with a match for us. Is that something that's going to be able to be done with a bond, or is that
You
gonna
can't
happen?
bond match to a grant.
Okay,
Yeah, you
And-
can't,
and
borrow-
that's-
you can't borrow a match to a grant,
Okay.
so.
but the USDA option is worth taking a look at.
Absolutely.
And
and
that would be the kind of discussion to have with Northern Borders right now, plus the
I've got a
extension up in.
call into them. Just to find out information on all of that and potential with. I don't know if there's any potential in Reaper for you to do as well. Just doing it as far as doing a match, because they bought fire trucks before. Left 2 different voicemails on 2 different phone numbers and haven't gotten a call back, but. As part of that research, there's a link to a PDF file with all the towns in New Hampshire listed. With the median income listed. Somehow or another, Effingham is at a median income of $77,000.
88X is the latest number.
The document I saw had 77,
88. We're not,
Which is-
our match number just went down.
which is higher than Wolfboro, which is higher than Freedom, which is higher than Bartlett. I don't know where they're pulling that number from.
It's all federal stats on it.
So I don't know if there's something that you as a board can do to complain about that number.
Federal's pulled off federal
Okay,
data. Yeah, because I was actually looking at it to do something with the library.
yeah,
Our whole match capability just went down 20%. Look at anything with USDA.
so I don't know where they're getting $88,000 from.
So yeah, if you can get in touch with them and find out
Yeah.
when they're available, and I think we can work around that,
Yeah.
you know.
Get that together.
This week,
I'm sorry to interrupt, but it is fine.
okay, thank you very much.
Sorry, apologies.
So,
So we're gonna,
Chris, yes, I'll take a copy of that if you would.
yep. We're going to recess briefly. Chief will get back to us in a second.
All right, it is 5 PM. And because of the advertisement we put out, we are advertising for the public hearing regarding unanticipated funds for today's date, June 24th, 2024, 5 PM. Here at 68 School Street in Effingham, the selectmen will hold a public hearing to accept money under RSA 31:95-B, section 3, for the purpose of accepting funds from the state of New Hampshire in the amount of $15,000. And it is 2 checks. Both are reimbursement checks for Moose Plate grants for the historic town hall. Excuse me, one is for the final payment of 1 grant. One is the first installment of 50% for another grant. For a total of 15. We have to make a motion to accept the money. I'll make that motion.
Second,
All those in favor?
aye,
Aye.
Siemens, aye.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Public.
Any questions? Concerns? No, moving on. Out of recess, if you have full game,
I'm good on the building stuff.
okay,
If you can get back to us for the date and we'll work around, we'll contact the members of the public and stuff. For the public listening, if anybody else is interested, we do need some more people. We've only had 1 or 2 people reach out, so.
If I may, would it be in our best interest to include someone from the budget committee and also from the planning board?
Only if you want to get it passed.
And God, well,
So
I'm
it sounds
thinking
like a yes.
that we should probably reach out before we set it.
Think of your key committees. You definitely want to have at least a representative from each of the committees on there. Or probably one of their next meetings, show up, make a request. Physically, who's going to be the person, get a name if we leave the meeting. I would basically utilize social media. The way you guys do already. But make sure it gets out there beyond what you've got, make sure Beautiful Effingham Connect, any of the different social media sites, Province Lake Association, get them all in line. You're requesting that. You probably want to set up a meeting, which basically says, come and listen to what we want to do. To see if you want to be part of the committee. And have something prepped to go that's about a 45-minute presentation that says, here's what the initial strategy is looking like. And we would need your help.
We'll sit down and do that tomorrow. Good, okay.
I have some information with the Northern Borders and the USDA for grants that I've been working on for the.
If you've got a
broadband.
better phone number than what they list on their website, I'd be more than happy to take it.
I actually have people names
Okay.
with numbers.
It's just the generic phone number goes to someone's voicemail.
Yeah, because the USDA grant stuff is the same outfits that supply the broadband capabilities. Going after the money there too.
Okay, so more to come on that. I threw in front of both of you a couple of packets, a little tiny bit of information and a bunch of photos. The photos are of a 2008 F-350 dual rear wheel, 4-wheel drive pickup truck. It is part of the federal equipment program, surplus equipment program. It is currently located at Camp Lejeune. And it is out and available for someone to grab. Because it's in the federal program, it's available to just about everybody nationwide. But it was sent along after we requested information on vehicles that could be used as a more suitable forestry for our town. They sent this along today. We just got all the limited information we could get out of it today. We know it needs a back window. We know it needs brakes all around. Other than that, they're saying it's in great condition. It's a Southern vehicle with no rust. It has 95,000 miles on it, and it is a diesel motor, and it is not a 6.0.
Is it a 7.3?
No, it's a
6.4.
6.4, yeah.
6.4. So it's pre-DEF system, but it probably, in my recollection, probably has a diesel particulate filter, but no DEF.
Because it's the federal property, the cost is free. We just have to get it home.
And it would become ours after a year.
After 1 year in service, it would be titled to the town.
So how do we get it home?
We go get it.
for shipping. Or
We go get it.
Goes gets it.
That's probably.
Plane flying down.
As of today's quick Google search, Spirit Airlines has a $38 plane ticket to get down to South Carolina. Or North Carolina rather.
Yes,
So-
it's in North Carolina.
And then an Uber cost to get over to Camp Lejeune from the airport. So we're not talking big money, and then obviously we need fuel to drive it back, but. We're not talking big money to get down there.
So so you guys could take the Wex card, right? The
Yeah.
Wex card,
Yep.
for fuel. Yeah.
I
I support it.
I see no downside to that.
There's no guarantee that we're gonna get it. I'm just looking for permission to tell them, yep, we are interested. But it's
I make a motion that we move forward with supporting, contacting the
Defense.
Defense Logistics Agency on acquiring the F-350 for the fire department for potential future forestry use.
Second.
All those in any discussion?
Just so you're aware, and you kind of alluded to it, the last email from them. Still in the DoD cycle, which means that some other DoD agency could claim it before they can get it out to the state to get it to us. So it's not a guarantee, but as of 307.
I don't really see the Department of Defense putting money into it.
Before you finish your motion, maybe amend it. Would you like to make that a little more broad to allow us to pursue anything that come up in the future along these lines as well?
No,
If this truck goes down and we get another one that's.
no, I mean, I'd prefer to do it, vehicle by, if this goes down and we have another one, then.
Okay,
And quite frankly, we can pull together a select board meeting with notice and whatever.
Absolutely.
And quick to get that done.
Yeah, I mean, just like we did last, oh, I didn't say we had a work session. I didn't tell you we had a work session.
Okay.
Sorry. But yeah, just like that. So,
Yeah.
Cause we were coming in to sign the manifest on Tuesday, so, yeah. Maybe we had a work session. So, yeah, we can do that.
Yep,
You've already started those, so.
Fuller eye.
Seems like. Thank you.
thank you.
Anything else, Chief? You're not on the agenda, but do you have anything?
Not really, staying busy, it's been a very busy day. Very busy,
And mutual aid, it's been very busy.
yes, it's been busy everywhere. Last week stayed busy, Thursday I went and attended field day with the kids, got to play some games and hung out and. Second to last day of school, I had a blast, I think I had more fun than they did, so. Hope they have a good summer and we'll see them back there next year.
Announcements. The town office will be closed July 4th. And also this observance of Independence Day. And do we want to this much? No, we'll let him do that one. If they decide to close, right? Cause it's.
Yeah, we can.
Okay.
I'll have them post.
Public comment. Hearing none, do we have a need for any non-public?
Nope.
Says adjournment, then next meeting, what is the next meeting? The July 9th meeting, we do our next meeting?
That fair enough, correct.
Okay. So, yeah, we'll see everybody on July 9th at 4 o'clock.
Make a motion to adjourn.
Second,
Aye.
aye. Thank you all.